Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Adoration to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, and bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita in chapter 12, entitled Bhakti Yoga. Chapter opens with question from Arjuna, that which upasaka, which devotee is better? A devotee who worships Sagun Sakar and a devotee who worships Sagun Nirakar, Sagun Nirgun Nirakar. Just to make it clear, devotee is in three stages. Sagun Sakar, that's how devotional practice commences. You view God with form, like Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Buddha. And along with form, attributes of God, that God is omniscient, omnipotent, He is everywhere, and all divine virtues. But next step, Sagun Nirakar, no form. Form is, your mind is so adjusted that form will flash in your mind, but you are not sitting with the form. Not always thinking, oh, Rama's complexion is blue. He is decked with a particular dress. No, your mind switches to God, who is all-permeating reality, and countless attributes of God. They begin to flash into your mind. In Saguna state of worship, there are two types of worshippers, Sakamya and Nishkamya. Sakamya, you worship because there's a purpose. You need to find a job. So therefore you worship Goddess Lakshmi. A problem has come, you worship Hanuman to remove Sankat, trouble. And when the trouble is gone, Hanuman moves away. So that's called Sakamya. So your movement is improving your karmic status. And no matter how much improvement you do, it is not permanent. In the world of time and space, no matter how much progress you make, it is transient. So therefore, more sensitive aspirants, they worship God, follow the practical reality. Certain problems have come, and you worship God accordingly. You want to pass an examination, you worship Goddess Saraswati. You want to succeed in business, worship Goddess Lakshmi. If you want to overcome some terrorizing aspect, worship Hanuman. But while worshipping all these, you never forget that they are aspects of your Ishta Devata. Ishta Devata is Rama or Krishna. The profound insight is there. Your Ishta Devata is Parabrahman, the Absolute. So, your Saguna worship is a channel to Nirguna Nirakar Brahman. So I have described Sagun, Sakar, Sagun Nirakar. The last stage of the Upasana is the Nirguna Nirakar. Nirguna Nirakar state is a state of Nivritti, absolute sannyasa. So, with that in view, let me go through the verses, and the verses are like big riddles, not easy for aspirants to understand without guidance. Third and fourth verses, they are together. Ye tvaksharama nirdeshyam abhyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gamachintyam cha kutastamachalam dhruvam sanjamendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhaya te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hite rata. Those who worship the imperishable, the indefinable, the unmanifest, the omnipresent, the indescribable, the immutable, the eternal. This is the example of Saguna Nirakar. We are not worshipping Ishta Devata with descriptions of form, but descriptions of the divine attributes. And what are those attributes? Imperishable. And your mind has to figure that out, what it means. All things that come within the range of your mind are perishable. All that is confined to time, space, causation is perishable. All that is a result of karma. Karma has led you to that status, is perishable. Perishable is that which changes. Imperishable is like the sky. Clouds create changes, but the sky supporting the clouds remains changeless. This is called akshara, first attribute. All these words are important for practice of affirmation. Anirdeshya is second attribute. Indefinable. Your mind tries to define God, what God is. But no matter how clever your mind, you should be cleverer than your mind. And understand that mind cannot capture the glory of God. Mind can do its best. The mind can present the best of concepts. When you say Satchidananda, your concept will depend upon your level of spiritual evolution. Another person also says Satchidananda, but the stage is different. That Satchidananda has a different meaning to that person. So, words present variable implications or meanings. Therefore, God is indefinable. the unmanifest. All things that are manifest, they have names and forms. But God doesn't come under the limit of name and form. An omnipresent, God is ever-present reality. Human mind experiences time. Time spreads out in past, present, and future. But when you go to sleep, time slips away from you, and you are experiencing a glimpse of the timeless state. Timeless state is your inner core, your inner reality. Your intrinsic reality is God Himself. And so, the more timeless you are, closer you are to God. The more closer you are to God, the more timeless you are. That is a figurative language. And that's when we speak of God as omnipresent, the indescribable, the immutable, the eternal. So these special terms are used for Nirguna Upasana. A mind that has not been prepared by Saguna Upasana will find this very difficult. So the message is being given that don't go after which is greater and choose the greater one and not the lesser one. Go after the sequence. Practice the lesser in order to succeed in the greater. Go through your kindergarten as a bright student. Then you are in a position to be in advanced courses. So all this question again and again that comes, which is greater, which is greater? The answer is, each is important. But in order to do it in a perfect way, start from the first step, go into the second step, Sagun Sakar, first step. Go into second step, Saguna Nirakar. Go into third step, Nirgun Nirakar. With their senses restrained and endowed with balance of mind, further the Nirgun worshipper has to focus on these qualities. And that is also the description of a sannyasi. Who is a sannyasi? He who is with not being controlled by his senses. You must understand in a broad way, your whole personality is like a chariot. Senses are the horses. Mind is the reins. Intellect pulls the reins. And the soul is being guided. So, your personality set must be such that you are not dominated by the horses, the senses, neither by the reins that control the horses, the mind, endowed with balance of mind. The mind here is in a state of driving the chariot. The same like intellect, buddhi. And that state of mind remains balanced in pleasure, pain, gain, loss, adversity, prosperity. The greater the shama, serenity, greater is your success in your upasana. Another great point, engaged in the welfare of all beings. If you are a Nirguna Upasaka, your heart is not limited to a few near and dear ones. Your heart expands and includes all. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya. When your heart radiates this prayer, is the example of Nirguna Upasana. And this is the great quality of being a sannyasi. All that you need to do is, each time when you pray, leave a little space for offering the prayer for all. If you have headache and you are praying for reducing the headache, end up saying that likewise, not only you should relieve me of my headache, but relieve me the headache of all jivas, no one left behind. So if you have that type of devotional movement, you are practicing Nirguna Upasana, and in practical life, you will be a source of inspiration to many people. Just like a flower blossoms, its fragrance is not limited to the petals. It goes all over. Kleshodhikataras tesham avyaktat avyaktachetasam avyakta hi gatir dukham dehavadbhi avapyate. Of course, the worshippers who have their minds attached to the non-manifest absolute have to exercise greater effort, because oneness with the unmanifest is attained with difficulty for those who are centered in the body. Simple point is being explained. Don't jump to Nirgun Nirakar, or don't jump even to Sagun Nirakar without perfecting the Sagun Sakar. If you do not do that, Sagun Sakar practice enables you to be relieved of the pressure of body and mind. Your identity with body and mind drags you down from the advanced state of sadhana. So as long as there is dehadhyas, a deep-rooted identity with the body, upasana will be very difficult, because constantly you are conceiving of yourself as a body. Then you cannot conceive of God without body. And so, what happened to the Sagun Nirakar aspect? Handling this situation of meditating upon Nirguna Nirakar as well as Sagun Nirakar, that handling the situation is very difficult for a beginner who has not been trained by Sagun Sakar aspect. Because oneness with the unmanifest is attained with difficulty for those who are centered in the body. Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara ananyena iva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate teshamaham samuddharta mrityu sansara sagarat bhavamina chirat partha maya veshatat chetasam. But those who worship me, having offered all actions to me, devoted steadfastly to me, meditating on me with one-pointed yoga. O Partha, for those whose minds are immersed in me, I become the savior from the ocean of repeated births and deaths speedily in a short time. The entire integral yoga is presented before you. For bhakti to be perfect, it must impact upon your entire practice of yoga and turn this practice into a form of melody, practicing karma, bhakti, dhyana, and jnana. Your mind holds lot of stress. How much karma have I done? I should practice dhyana. Well, what happened to jnana? But in the ideal practice is a form of melody. Karma, bhakti, dhyana, and jnana, they become four strings of music, and they begin to blend in such a way you don't know where is karma, where is dhyana, where is jnana, where is bhakti. But all these four begin to progress in your personality. So those who worship me, having offered all actions to me, implying your karmas have been enfolded by the melody of bhakti. And all this becomes an ideal. Mukh mein Ram, haath mein Kam. All your actions are performed, allegorically speaking, by your hand. But while your hand is constantly doing all types of actions, your tongue should not stay chewing the cud. Tongue should stay relishing the chocolate of divine name. I'm joking. Here again, it doesn't mean just it should stay with the tongue. Your heart must understand that you are serving God through your karma yoga. You are doing His will, and therefore look up to His face and see whether you are pleasing Him or not. So even though you are doing your actions in a mystical way, you are turning your gaze to God. And also, when doing well, you are looking at God who is smiling at you, because it is His inspiration, His will that is operating through your personality. Your personality is to be a flute in divine hands. Nimitta matram bhava sabya sachin. Be an instrument in my divine hands. So that's the meaning behind offering all actions to me. If you take it literally, you may succeed for an hour or two. Give up all actions and just dump yourself somewhere. Succeed for, but all that practice will give you a tremendous damage to your personality. So offering all actions to go to me is a progressive movement. How much you can feel that you are doing things led by God's will. You will feel joyous, energetic, inspirational, and you will have endurance. The characteristics of success is Shakti, Bhakti, leading to Mukti. You will have a strength to face challenges, not to dump yourself into despair. And when you face challenges, you find an opening to spiritual delight, the delight of divine love. Life becomes saras. It should not be a life of deep stress. And that type of life ultimately ends into eternal life, mukti, liberation. So be devoted steadfastly to me, meditating on me with one-pointed yoga. Thereby, the verse has suggested, integral yoga becomes easy, like melody in music. If real love of God emerges in your heart, you become a real yogi. A real yogi is integral yogi. All four yogas begin to flow. For those whose minds are immersed in me, mind being immersed in God, implying God is seen as the only reality behind all names and forms. Just like even in worldly love, you may be busy with so many activities, so many duties, but your heart does not give up the joy of love, the delight of love. But I'm referring to that stage of moha, where you love people and your relatives in a deluded fashion. But even in delusional love, you experience amazing strength to face challenges. What to think of real love. So move away from delusional love to discover that God is the soul of your soul. You love your soul. For the sake of the self, all becomes dear. That self is not the reflected self. That self is Brahman, the Absolute. I am, that am I. So if that movement continues, we say mind is immersed in God. And if you have come to that stage, Lord Krishna says, I become the savior. The soul is saved from being trapped by the cycle of birth and death, being dumped into the ocean of repeated births and deaths. But that's the predicament of the soul if you do not have bhakti in your heart. Mame mayyeva mana adhatsva mayi buddhi niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva atburdhvam na sanshaya. Focus your mind on me alone. Now in integral yoga, when it has become perfect, then your dhyana becomes successful. Your mind focuses on God without effort, because God is a reality. When you begin to wake up from your dream, you become focused on the awakening state automatically, without effort. So focus of your mind on God becomes effortless. Because you love, God is all love. How can you be separated from that aspiration to love God? Let your intellect be focused on me, and your whole buddhi goes after that whom you love. the object of your love. You don't think of things in a profound way unless you love that project. So, what I'm relating to you is the importance of understanding jnana and bhakti and their interdependence. You try to know the absolute beloved God, and the more you know, greater is your love. The more you love, greater is your knowledge. So let your intellect be fixed on me, and you will, without beyond a doubt, abide in me forever. Thereby, integral yoga has been presented to you. Integral yoga, your karma becomes karma yoga, your sentiments become bhakti yoga, your willing movement becomes Raja yoga, and your understanding movement becomes Jnana yoga. And when these four in blend operate in your personality like a melody, then you are real yogi. You are really religious person, real devotee of God. Now there are steps being described. Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mayi sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichhaptum dhananjaya. O conqueror of wealth. Whenever we talk of Arjuna as conqueror of wealth, wealth relates to divine virtues, Davi Sampat. If you are unable to fix your mind upon me, here the term fixing your mind on me is finding me as the absolute beloved. I am the only object of absolute real love. If that you are unable to discover that, then endeavor to attain me by taking recourse to the yoga of abhyasa. Repeat all those practices that enable you to be harmonized, to be integrated. And that's, in that sense, abhyasa word has been used. So, if you are unable to practice abhyasa, 10th verse, abhyasepi asamarthosi mat karma paramo bhava madartham api karmani kurvan siddhimam apvapapsyasi. If you are unable to practice abhyasa, then be intent upon performing actions for me. If you are unable to integrate four aspects of yoga, then be intent upon performing actions for me, implying focus your attention on whatever works you do, and do them in the spirit of worshipping me. Even if you are eating, recite the mantra Brahmarpanam Brahmavi Brahmagnavu Brahmana Bhutam. You are putting food, that is Brahman, into the mouth, that is Brahman. The teeth that is chewing are Brahman. The taste that goes within you is Brahman. Figure that out. So this form of practice is performing all actions for my sake. Athetat api ashaktosi kartum madhyogam ashritaha sarva karma phalatyagam Tatah kuruyat atmavan. And if you are unable to do even this, doing actions for the sake of God, that's what we were talking about. If you are unable to do this, then taking recourse to yoga of surrender, striving to control the mind and senses, renounce fruits of all karmas, then focus simply on surrender to God. These are not sequences in a mathematical way. It's just like you are eating food. If you are not able to chew, suck. Not able to suck, lick. So similarly, these different practices are being mentioned. So if you are unable to do this, then taking recourse to yoga of surrender, striving to control the mind and senses, ultimately renounce fruits of all karmas. When that state comes, you are endowed with paravairagya. Deep-rooted conviction has entered that your goal is not to be reborn for finding a stable status in the world. Your goal is not there. That type of thinking is childish, mudhamati, dull-witted. So, your heart should renounce fruits of karmas. And the more you renounce, the more you are succeeding on the path of nivritti, the path of sannyasa. An ultimate goal of sannyasa is to be rid of me and mine, ahamta mamata. And that again is a progressive movement. So with this I'm going to conclude at this stage. Om. Om. Ram, 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 Ram. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om Shri Krishnaya Namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya Ras grace of God over all of you, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukum Vabandhanan Mrityor Mukhyamamritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat.